Welcome to another episode of First Step, where we get industry professionals, leaders in their fields, to share with us the steps they took to get them to where they are today. And with us, we have a lovely guest, a good friend of mine. She has. It's rare that you're able to share or catalog or log somebody's journey and being involved or being exposed to some of the steps that they would have taken. So we have with us today the lovely Salene Griffith. How are you, my dear?
Hello, I am good. I am good, and I want to curtsy all kind of thing, but it's a Zoom call, so I can't do all that shit for this.
It's all good. Salene, I'm really glad that you're able to make the time, and get on this platform. I know you
Hmm.
have your things going as well, and
Yes,
we'll
yes.
get into some of that. But Celine, I want to start first by going a bit back,
Hmm.
right, and getting an idea of the Celine Griffith. I would say at 15 years old, getting ready to go into Form 5 and seeing where her mind is and trying to determine what she going to do with herself. Who was that person and where is she now?
I am. I'm laughing here because at that time, she didn't even know who
Uh,
she was. She was like,
are you serious?
"What to do?" I chose the subject that I was really good at because it was easier to do. I really don't like to put too much drama in my life. So I
Right.
chose the subjects for CXC that I was really good at. So it happened to be business subjects, right? And
Right.
did pretty well at O levels and then went into A's and chose accounting because I was really good at accounting.
Right.
Got a distinction at CXC level. So I'm like, yay, this is for me. And then I said, but you know that you're not that personality who would like to just do mundane stuff. And I'm not trying to say that accounting is mundane. By the least, it's not at all. But
Right.
you just have to be passionate about it, right? But
Right.
for me, routine stuff is not my thing. I am ridiculously spontaneous. So everything for me, there has to be a different experience every day. So seeing the same people every day, you're sitting in the office, you're seeing the same people every day, you are doing the same tasks every day. It was a bit boring for me. But mind you, the majority of my career
Right.
has been in accounting.
Oh, well, look at that.
20 years. Oh God, I'm giving away my age, but it's all good.
No, but you see, that's interesting because you went on, because I know you worked at, it's Guardian Life?
Guardian General.
Guardian
So it was
General Life.
Nemwell first, and then it converted into Guardian General.
Right.
And then I went into a broker, Norman Gabriel, and then I went into back to Guardian Life in the health part of it. But
Oh, okay.
all of it, all of the functions were in terms of accounting. Hmm.
Right. So taking that journey now and trying to find yourself, which is what happens with most of us in
Yeah.
that teenage area, because
Hmm.
even you and I were having a conversation yesterday or day before,
Day
and
before,
you're
yeah.
speaking about your kids
Yes.
and how you try to encourage them because
Yes.
that teenage area is such a delicate time in
Correct.
somebody's life. So now moving from there, how were you able to then get exposure into modeling, which featured a lot in your life?
Funny enough, I gave a story on my Facebook page yesterday that they had World Afro Day the other day because I've been
Yeah.
listen since I am small in primary school. They cutting off my hair because I was a tomboy. Would you believe? A tomboy growing up.
Are
Yeah.
you serious? That you're such a lady now?
Arion, always naked in the yard, running away, playing in the dirt.
Are you serious? Wow.
And so I never like to get my hair combed, and they ended up giving me I don't know if you know what a flannel ball is, but that's what it is. They cut all
A
my hair
flannel.
off,
Yeah,
flannel
yeah.
ball.
Hmm.
And so that was primary school, and then going into secondary school, you grew it out, you relax it, and then when I got to Form 6, when I realized work was really a lot, I cut it off
Right.
myself. I went to the barber shop, cut it off. So I had my hair short like that. And then I posted those pictures yesterday about when I was working in my first job, which was Nemwell at the time. And I got a warning letter from HR because your girl grew out the fro, nice and big, and
Oh.
yeah, but they said it was not appropriate for work,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I said, well, okay, I have to go and relax my hair. Where the uniform company, which is generous,
Right.
when they came to measure for uniforms and stuff, because of course in those days you want to keep the corporate image in this hot country. You
Right.
want to wear these three-piece suits.
Right.
And they came to measure us for uniforms, whatever. And the managing director of the company, he was like, "Oh my gosh, I love your hair." I was like, "Well, they
Wow.
don't." And he's like, I said, "Actually, I'm going to relax it." He said, "No, no, no, we want to use you for our catalog." So I did the generous catalog that year, driving all over Port of Spain on their bus.
Wow.
And that is how my modeling career started because, of course, I met up with Richard Young and I started in Mannequin Caribbean. And
Right.
that was a really good stint because it helped me with being a little more self conscious and not only the self conscious part, but being comfortable with myself, you know? And they loved the hairstyle. I ended up shaving off for a fashion show, like shave it down bald, more bald than yours, Arion.
Wow.
Yeah, I
I
tried
mean,
all kinds of.
you have to be going real low because this
No, it was
almost
low. It was
was.
low. I tried all kinds of
Yeah.
things with my hair, but that was a really good experience there, and it really did lead me into the modeling life. And modeling with mannequins was very interesting because you know Richard Young, very eccentric individual.
Right.
That box, he doesn't even know what the box is to think outside out.
Wow.
So the kinds of things that he used and incorporated, it really helped to bring out my creative side as well. Because when you would use a backdrop made out of brown paper for a fashion show,
Right.
you have to be real creative.
Yeah,
He's
yeah, yeah.
fantastic,
And
fantastic.
daring. But all right, so I'm wondering now, in terms
Mhm.
of your personality coming into modeling, because you had no plans for that.
No.
But were you being a tomboy, right?
Hmm.
Were you necessarily a shy person, or were you a little apprehensive in getting into the modeling, or it was
I
kind of
was
easy for you?
I was very shy, very very shy. It's just, me. Is me asking to come and do this thing? Okay. What somebody think I nice all here? What? Because in school they used to call me Turkey, yeah? You see the neck?
Yeah, yeah, well, yeah, you have a bit of an elegant neck.
Thank you. I like your choice of words. But they used to call me
Uh,
Turkey in school. And so I was very self-conscious because I was extremely skinny, the long neck and the thick glasses. They used to good laugh at my tail. But Richard saw something. He saw a swan developing somewhere there. Who knows? And
nice.
so I was a bit apprehensive. But my sister before me, Charlene, she used to do modeling before. So I kind of got the
Right,
confidence to get into it from her, seeing what she would have been doing and that kind of thing. And then joining mannequins, there were other people there who they're a very nice group of people, you know.
right.
So we formed a nice little family group kind of thing, and they really did encourage me and that kind of thing. So
That's real cool. So, in terms of the modeling now, how did that help to, I guess, boost up your confidence and help mold your personality going forward
personality.
then?
Well, I've
Yeah.
always been crazy. Um, I have to say because if a million people tell me I'm crazy, I have to agree with
Yes,
that,
there
right?
probably a million Frenchmen can be wrong.
You got that right. So I've always been that kind of crazy person, but not the kind who will be very outspoken. I never like the spotlight, and I still don't like the spotlight. But and for me, getting involved in different groups because I ended up joining throughout confirmation class. You ended up in the youth group, and so there were different things in your life happening, and your group of friends from school alone would have helped you to become a little more open. And I was that person that people used to come to for counseling. I don't know why they still call me Mother Teresa up to this day. My friends say, "Oh God, yes, Mother Teresa always had to take on everybody's problems."
Problems. Oh man.
And so, in that regard, I think that is where the confidence came from, where people will come to you instead of you having to find out if somebody will be interested in talking to you and stuff.
Right.
That is what sort of helped with that. Yeah.
That's cool. So with the modeling now, that went on. Did you? How long of a period did that span for you? And then
Um,
moving.
if I could remember correctly, it started right after A levels or during A levels, boy. Yeah, I think it started whilst I was in upper six.
Right.
Actually, no. No, I'm talking nonsense. That modeling started, well, between upper six and lower six. So I started doing it then, but my father was very strict. So he really didn't
Right.
approve of it. So it was only like vacation time he would get to do it.
Right.
And I probably left modeling when I got pregnant. So I got pregnant in 2005. Yeah.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
kind of
Okay.
said, okay. And then probably just before I got pregnant, because I started to focus on school, getting into tertiary. education and that kind of thing. So for me,
Right.
that wasn't a priority. And modeling in Trinidad is a hobby. So,
Essentially, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So even when people were asking me, why don't you go for Miss Trinidad and Tobago? And I was like, that I was too shy for, not realizing that that career path is actually going to, the career path that I chose eventually, and we'll get into that later, not realizing
Right.
that that would have actually been an asset going up for Miss Trinidad and Tobago. So if I have to
Oh,
say that I regret anything in life, it's probably that
are you serious?
not taking up that opportunity because Peter Eliot approached me as well. And I was like,
You
nah,
to go up
nah.
for Trinidad and to miss. All right,
Yeah,
because he would have had the franchise or something so at the
correct,
time.
correct. So I think it
Right.
was
Okay.
after Wendy. Yeah, because the
Mm-hmm.
year that Wendy won, I remembered Mannequins, we launched a magazine in St. Lucia. So the entire cast, we went across to St. Lucia for 3 days and stayed there. It was lovely. Oh my God, free drinks. But it was a lovely experience. So yeah.
Wow. Because I remembered kind of touching on that with Wendy when she won.
Uh-huh.
Um I was also at that time I would have been in A levels and she winning was such a big deal. And you all have a similar I want to use the term aesthetic in the
Okay.
neck and
Yeah, well, I've
vibe,
gotten that a lot. Yeah.
you
People will
know.
ask me, you related to Wendy? I was like, no, but she's beautiful. Thank you for the
Yeah, she
compliment.
is good. So there you go. So Celine, now we're moving forward now, and
Mm-hmm.
so you came out of modeling, um, because now you're pregnant with your lovely twins, but at the
Yes.
time you have this situation and you have so many things going on. How
Yeah.
then were you kind of pulling the pieces together and deciding, how am I going to move forward now,
Mm.
modeling finish, and I guess you still have your 8 to 4 at that
Right. Yes,
time,
of course.
because you have to, as you say, because
Yeah, sure. And mine.
exactly, and modeling and going and
Ah,
getting on
exactly.
in New York Fashion Week and in
Correct.
Trinidad at least at this time.
Correct. Now, I
Yeah,
wanted to, I've always been a planner. I've always been somebody who knew exactly what she wanted to do.
right.
And since 9 years old, I remembered I did up my resume. I didn't even know what it was called at the time, but I did up my resume. I remembered it's very nicely handwritten. And in the hobbies section, I put modeling, photography, writing, and journalism. I didn't even know what journalism was at the time,
Wow.
but I'm like,
Right.
journalism. And let me tell you that what is for you, no matter how far you go away from it, it's going to come back and you're going to get it. Because look at how many years later, I'm 40 plus now, but at
Right.
age 40 is when I decided to get into this media thing. But I have been trying since I was studying I didn't really go into studying accounting. So after A levels, that's what got me the job, right?
Okay.
But I really wanted to get into marketing. I always saw myself being a consultant, public
Right.
relations specialist. I've never, as I said before, I cannot see myself sitting down in an office 8 to 4. I don't know if it's my procrastinating spirit
Right.
that caused me to stay in corporate for 20 years,
Right. Right.
right? But I knew that was not the place for me because even in my role, sitting down doing my work, yes, I've been very good at my job,
Right.
but I would be the staff club president. I was friends with the CEO all the way down to the janitor. I was everybody I would speak to in the office, coordinating events. So I
Right.
went into doing event planning as well, and then realized I like to be in the event. I like to conceptualize the event, but you see, the coordinating and the planning part, that's not for me
Right.
because I want to frolic too
Right.
on
Right.
the
Right.
day.
Right. Right. I
But
get
then I realized that, okay, I wanted to study marketing. I started that, and then the school tells me they're no longer offering it here in Trinidad, but you can't do it online. So I had to give up on that and lose the qualification on top of that. Now I had a little
Oh,
break.
okay, okay.
I had a little hiatus because I had the children. So
Right.
when I had the kids in 2006, I was writing for the level two. It's 3 levels. So the level two is equivalent to what they call this thing, a BSc. And so level three would have been the postgraduate. And I did not get to do that. And then when I was ready to go back into it after the kids were like about 6 months or so, bam, it's no longer being offered.
Oh, yeah.
And then 10 years, if 10 years have passed and you do not finish the qualification, you lose it.
You lose it.
So here it is. I was set back to just A-level qualification, even though I have all this knowledge of marketing. And that hurt like shit because it's like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do? I can't get the jobs that I want. And even though I worked for a while in these organizations, like you're working in a place like Nemwell in the account department, insurance is a financial institution. So they're not going to push things like marketing. Well, now they do. But at the
Right.
time, my CEO told me, well, you know, if you're not studying accounting, the company will not fund it. But you have two children to see about. So for me, and they didn't have gates at the time as yet. So for me, it was like, okay, I have to put reel back on the studies for now.
Right. Right.
And it took a while for me to get back in the fray of studying. So I had to let go of marketing. But then media studies, I saw that you was offering, with GATE and all of that, they were offering the communication studies. And so I enrolled in UE for that, got accepted, ready to start. Bam, they said, yeah, part-time classes, so you're going to the first lecture. When they send me the timetable months later to tell me, oh, but part-time doesn't mean it's after hours, you know, part-time in communication studies is that you're just doing 3 courses per semester instead of 5. So I had to withdraw from UE.
Oh, shucks. Okay. Okay.
So that's how I ended up in SBCS doing media studies.
Right. Right.
Totally different from what I wanted to do because I wanted to do actual communication studies. But this one is it's media production. So you're doing camera work, you're doing real practical stuff, you're doing
Okay. I
filming
got
and
you. I got you.
right.
Yes.
But it was
I
very
mean,
interesting, very, very
I
interesting.
think I would have 2 places that I would have interfaced with you
Yes.
with at that time. One would have been Star by
So when I thought of doing this thing, the media, the what do they call it? Radio
broadcasting.
broadcasting. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you're doing
Yes.
right. So that was
Yeah.
the first. That was my first interaction with you. I believe it would have been at Star,
Yes.
right? And I was on in the advanced program helping out
Right.
with that, and then I also remembered you at SBCS because I was at SBCS doing audio because I did audio there.
Right.
And
That's true. Yes.
yeah, and I remember you that time I was in the Port of Spain campus. Were you
Right.
right? And you at the Port of Spain campus?
I was. They closed it down
Yes.
while, so I was still enrolled there. Yeah.
Right, yes. So right, exactly. So that's
Yeah.
what it was. But I always remembered you being, you kind of alluded to before, being very personable and
Yeah.
friendly and always bright and smiling. So you had that warm personality
Yeah.
in your favor. So now kind of I guess fast forwarding through
Mm-hmm.
doing the broadcasting and the media studies to now getting into to kind of realizing your words, then your words
Yes.
manifesting to getting
Yes.
into
Yes.
to radio now
Mm-hmm.
and hosting a drive time morning show
Yep.
on 104.
Yeah.
How did that process take place?
That was wow. That to me, I would always say that was an act of God because
Yeah,
I wasn't looking. I had finished broadcasting in Star since 2014,
right.
and nothing came out of that for me in the sense that, okay, I didn't get on a radio station right away. And I really wasn't, because I was working, I really didn't go actively looking to get on a radio station. Um, because the persons who I know from in the media who had asked, how do you go about this? Show me some steps. It was kind of pulling teeth getting information out of people. You know how Trinidad is. And I just said, you know what? Whatever. I will start my own radio station. I will go and do my online radio and I think, but it really wasn't something on the front burner for me because I was
Right.
doing the media studies, as I said, and I really liked like television producing. I realized out of the entire scope of media studies, what I was really good at was writing and producing. So I said, okay, I'll focus on those things, right? And then my girlfriend called me one day. She said, hey, look, Heartbeat looking for a radio personality. She said, what you have now? I said, but I don't have anything. And I just didn't take it on for about a couple of days. And I said,
Right.
it just kept gnawing on me. This voice in the back of my head kept telling me, send what you have. And what I sent was my demo for commercials. I just sent
Right.
that to
Okay.
them.
Right.
And they called me the next day. They called me, they said, "Oh my gosh, we love your voice." And they still can't believe that I had no experience on radio before.
Wow.
And I just went in there and I said, "Give it your best shot." I left my job because you know how some organizations are still archaic in their thinking. So it
Right.
wasn't that they wanted to accommodate my radio shift, which was 6 to 10 in the morning, which I was trying to
Right.
negotiate for 6 to 9. So at least I can go to work
Right.
for the few hours after that. They didn't want to
Mm.
incorporate the both. And I said to myself, "You always wanted to do this. This job that you're doing at Guardian is paying you the same thing that you're going to get on radio.
Right.
But radio now can open up so many different opportunities for you." I had a serious conversation with myself and I tendered my resignation. That one was a leap of faith.
Yeah, well, I could imagine because one, you have no experience. Two is like,
Hmm.
well, it's an industry totally brand new to you,
Yes, yes.
and you've been in finance and
Hmm.
for 20
On
plus
the
years.
inside. So it's not
Yeah.
like I have much exposure in media at all. The only exposure I had to media was doing commercials, the voiceovers.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, I was wondering because a lot of times, things just happen and you because we don't have foresight and like you
Yeah.
don't have a crystal ball to know how things going to play out.
Hmm.
So you have a better apprehension then and
Hmm.
fear.
Hmm.
But as I said, you figure it's really like an act of God and you're just working through the process.
Hmm.
Now,
And a
coming,
good support system.
well, oh, that's a whole different thing we can go touch.
Yeah, yeah.
But how was it then moving from
Corporate.
corporate now
Hmm.
into, and I know you were indicating that you didn't really want to sit down
Yeah.
in a stationary
Hmm.
kind
Hmm.
of job. So how was it then for you to accept that this is probably where you had to go?
It was hard, and it still is. And I even contracted the services of a career coach because I said, I have no idea what to do. I felt like I was wasting time because when you finish work at 10, my friends joke and say, "Yeah, girl, you work at CPAP." Because when I finished work at 10 o'clock, my day is
Right,
free. But I used it
right,
as an opportunity to say, "Okay, I now have all this free time. What are you going to do with it?" Now, for the
right,
first few months, I used to come home and sleep because
right.
getting up 4 o'clock in the morning was really,
Yeah,
that was hard. Because in
and
the
I don't know.
past,
Well, I mean, you would have been in corporate going to work for 8 because I'm not going to say how
yeah,
much of a morning person are you, but anyway,
I'm a
yeah.
very morning person. But I mean, even though I said getting up at 4 o'clock was hard, I still used to get up at 4:30 because of course you have to get kids ready for school
Right. Okay.
and
Cool.
get yourself, you have to make time for traffic and all of that. So
Right.
I was still an early riser, I still am, but I was using that time to do me stuff. Like I would go and
Right.
exercise, I would meditate, I would then get the kids and myself ready for school and work. When you get up at 4 o'clock, now I have to get up and by 4:30, you're up and getting out of the house because
Right.
everything in radio is time. Every
Mm-hmm.
second counts.
Hmm.
So many a times I've been sliding into studio 2 minutes before the time. I hope they're not hearing me.
You shouldn't. You don't sell out yourself, Gary.
No,
Ugh.
but it works.
You're
It
not gonna.
works.
Yeah.
It works.
Right. Right.
It works for me, but it getting accustomed to it, that part of it, because I still oftentimes feel as though I'm wasting time. If I come
Mm.
home and I don't have anything to do. So I'm happy when I get a call. "Can you come to the studio?" It's like, "Yeah, come in."
Yeah. 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 I get you. I get you.
There's so many projects that I want to get involved in as well, but COVID
Mm-hmm.
came and happened, and COVID just turned everything upside down, and so you now have to recalibrate. But it really, I'm still adjusting actually, because it's only a year now that I'm on radio,
Right.
but I'm still adjusting to not having that rigid time frame where your time is yours now.
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted it. I always wanted where, yeah, I'm in control of my time, but now it's
Right.
like, what to do?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I understand that because it's true. Being for me, being well, I've been um self-employed for some time now,
Yeah.
but you are now so responsible for getting things to do.
Hmm.
Before
Yeah.
in a job they have assigned, they have missions for you. Then you have to
Right.
have
So
certain
now you have to
targets for you.
create.
Now
Yeah.
you have to create, exactly, you
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
create it. So now you um started, I guess, through the experience of radio. And I love the clips that you would have posted like on YouTube, I mean on Facebook, with
Yes.
you on air dancing and having
I
such
always
a
say to my listeners, you're lucky I don't have cameras in studio, because they would see the kind of crazy person I am. But the thing is, it's drive time and morning time, so you want to wake people up. You don't want to dampen anybody's spirit. There's news for that.
exactly,
And
exactly.
yeah, so people are driving. Some of them are in their homes, just taking in some easy listening. So you want to make sure and stay in that vein, and it helps me too. It helps me with setting the tone for my day as well.
Oh, that's very cool. That's cool. So
Yeah.
it's like it's a win-win then.
Of course, and I always say going after your purpose, because in this I'm realizing now what my purpose is. And
Oh.
really I have to say that because some of the calls that I get,
Uh-huh.
I got to a point where I was praying with people on air. This show is not even
Wow.
about that. But people would call and say, "Oh my gosh, you're so positive. You always make me smile." And somebody called and she said she lost her mom a few months ago. And I was just talking with her and it ended up in me praying with her and I think so I said, that is how spontaneous I am. And I really try to, I think what my purpose is to use, and I think I said it in one of my promo clips, is using my voice and my voice in terms of the physical voice and the meaning or the purpose that I think I
Right.
have to
Right.
really help people. Yeah.
That's real interesting, because a lot of times we go through our life and still trying to figure out what
Yeah.
our purpose is,
Yeah.
and that's kind of the journey for most people. What to
Mm-hmm.
do? Who am I?
Yep.
What I here to do? And most of the times I believe you don't find it when you sit down. It
It's
don't come
true.
looking for you. You had to
That is so
do
true,
it.
Ariane. That is so, so
Yeah,
true. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So now you've started your podcast,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where you have
Naked.
yeah, a little juicy and way more spicy than this what we're doing. You know, how did that come about, and
Hmm.
what's the vibe behind it?
Naked has been in the pipeline long before. I shouldn't say long before radio, because radio is something I always wanted to do, right? But it
Right.
wasn't something that I was saying, yes, I have to do it. Yes, I have to do it. And one of my friends, he started his podcast, and I co-hosted a few of the episodes with him. And he kept telling me, Salene, you have to do your own podcast. And I say, yeah, yeah, I will do it. But I have a very strong procrastinating spirit. And it really has been to my own demise for a lot of things. Because I know I could have been much further in life, but I always say nothing happens before it's time. So I don't really beat up
Yeah.
myself anymore. I used to, but I don't do it anymore. And look at that. The podcast started just like that. And these ideas, because I have journals, notebooks of ideas for this podcast and TV show, because I don't know if I wanted it to be a TV show or if I wanted it to be a podcast. I didn't know what format I wanted it to take. But I
Right.
said, you know what, let's go podcast because it's the in thing now. A lot of people are signing on to
Yes.
podcasting. And let's utilize that platform now and then see where it branches out into. So yeah, what inspired that is I've always wanted to share my story because the thing is, when people come to me for advice or when they share very openly with me, I will always give a story of my own experience, and
Right.
they would say to me, "How are you so comfortable talking about what the things that happen in your life? Because it's not always
Right.
good stories."
Right.
And what I said is, if you are open enough to share with people, you encourage them to open up and confront who they are, confront their own experiences. Because sometimes we're so blinded by how we feel about something that we did that is bad that you end up not even confronting the man in the mirror. So you end up creating stories for yourself,
Yeah.
convincing your own
Own
self
self.
that this is so, and you who you're fooling, you, nobody else, because everybody else is seeing. So why not just call yourself out on your nonsense and say, well, okay, it is what it is. I'm human, right?
That's it. And I always say the biggest lie you could tell is a lie to yourself.
Yeah,
You know, a
yeah,
lot
because
of
you
times you
there.
fooling yourself and saying, yeah.
Yeah, you going about saying every day, oh, I am this, I am that. But then when you lie down in the night, you know you can't fall asleep. You can't fall asleep because you know you tell a lie during the day. You can't be doing that. You can't be doing
So,
that.
so now that podcast and everything going on, your
Hmm.
career has now, for many people, a lot of people still, wishing that they could have the opportunity or find the courage to
Hmm.
take bold step and actually do something that they
Hmm.
been wanting to do, move away a little bit from the comfort zone,
Yeah.
and you know, blessings have it that you were able to transition so smoothly into. Well, I
It
mean,
really wasn't smooth, because I mean, there are several challenges with this situation, but because it's what you choose. You choose to see the positive. I choose to see the
right,
positive in this situation because, mind you, I left a job where I didn't even have, because prior to that job in Guardian Life, I
right.
had lost the job before that.
Oh,
I
okay.
lost my job. So I utilized all of my savings and everything like that. So you're literally starting over from scratch. No
Wow.
savings, all my insurance policies elapsed, everything. It's like I'm 20 again.
Right. Well,
Starting
that's just it.
life.
So now you that's exactly where I was actually trying to go, because most of the times we get people on, or you speak to people and they share the glitz and the glamour and how
Hmm.
things
It
kind
is
of looking
not
on the out,
easy. No,
and it a lot of times it isn't, and I think a lot people could learn a lot from the tribulation stories as well,
exactly, exactly.
you know, and kind
Yeah.
of, get yourself, see where this person would have. So for you now, what would have been some of the challenges
Hmm.
in, recreating, or this new chapter now, things are
Some of
moving forward?
the challenges that I have encountered and still do is that I had to downsize. I had to downsize my lifestyle. I had to downsize everything about my living standards
Right,
or living conditions. So I had to give up my
right,
apartment, take somewhere smaller. I had to have my kids move in with their dad. So
right,
that in itself is a challenge.
right,
And even though, I mean, I talk to them every single day, I see them every single day, I'm still the mom that I have always been because schoolwork, everything like that, heavily involved in. I'm not
right,
playing with that. And
right.
yeah, and so it's a challenge. This is why I said earlier, having a good support system is important because there were times when I didn't even have groceries, Arian.
Right.
And
Yeah,
my
I mean,
friends will
definitely those
come,
are
yeah,
real.
they will come and say, oh gosh, girl, look this. And
Right,
at first, because you're accustomed being so independent and seeing about
right,
yourself and all of that,
right,
you'll feel bad about accepting help. But what my friend said to me, she said, you will do it for anybody. I've seen you. You
right.
go and stand up in your rain praying with a homeless person who trick you. The man say he was trying. The man say he was going and throw himself under a bus because he can't take it no more. And I sit down in the rain, get soaked down in the rain, reach late to my class, praying with
Are
this
you
man in the rain,
serious?
Marian.
What did
And he
jail
forget
give
my
you?
face. A few weeks later, the man come back to tell me, family, I'm going to throw myself under a bus. I can't take. I say, where you go? Which bus you going under? I said, I talked to you a few weeks ago. So all of this to
Wow.
say that this is what she told me, and that's what helped me to realize God didn't put us here to just be knight and shining armors for people. You have to
Right.
be in, sometimes he puts you in a position to accept help, to realize what that exchange is like. And it was very
Oh, that's
humbling as
beautiful.
well. It was very humbling because I've always been that person who I have to be there for people. I don't need your help. I will be there for you. But it
Right,
taught
right, right.
me to accept help. When your friends will come and show up until recently I had to say, hey, stop enabling me now. I will handle it.
Yeah, you want to get
But they're
spoiled.
there. But they're
Right,
there, they're helpful, and I have to say I'm very grateful for it. Helps you to realize that you need to be very grateful for every little thing. This is why every day I tell people celebrate your wins. I don't care how small they are. The fact that you
right,
got to work, the fact that your car starts in the morning because at that times I don't even have
right,
gas in my car.
right, right.
And
For real.
it is that's just life. That's just life. And
Yeah.
now when people talk about COVID and how it's really knocked them down, I say, oh, I was practicing before.
Girl, girl, it's the truth. I be like, yo, COVID is like resetting, yo. I've been there. I used to this thing,
I
yo.
don't feel
Business
as
hard
though
thing.
anything really
Yeah.
changed for me except that new opportunities that I was on the brink of materializing, they
Right.
had to just, they're in waiting. I wouldn't say they failed, but they're in waiting.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
Because I for me it has well this came out of it, the past first step, and it allowed me to, process some things as well. The
Yeah.
place slowed down, so it probably
Mm.
given me a time now to catch up,
Yeah, yeah.
with where I probably need to position
Of
myself,
course, of course.
But now in projecting for you,
Hmm.
and all these ideas and all these things that you you have in store for yourself,
Hmm.
how then are you able to move, bit by bit, chuck at one, and plan? As you say,
Hmm.
you're meticulous, I guess, with organizing your business.
Yeah.
What are some of the things you could see probably taking fruition sooner than later? You don't have to go into the details of it,
For
but
me, I would definitely say, well, with the podcast, and thank God for social media, thank God for technology.
indeed.
Many of us would have gone mad by now because everything is now online. And people are now so creative. I love some of the things that I'm seeing people coming up with, some of the ideas. And this is what I want people to understand. We are not in a time where we're competing, we cannot afford, literally cannot afford to compete. We have to share ideas. We have to support each other in what we do because everybody has something special and unique to offer. It may look similar, but you have something unique to offer.
Right,
And so I see, for me, well, with the podcast, I think that's where I'm going to focus my energies.
right,
You know, I may go back into doing corporate stuff, who knows, but not in that physical space. It could be something virtually because I
right,
have
right, right,
I have the skill set.
right.
So why not use it in a virtual space, seeing that this is what is happening now? Um, I want to do the TV show still,
Yeah,
but may not. I don't think that's something that I want to do right now. I'm still trying to figure out and massage my way into that in that part of the industry because you see where a lot of our local stations, you have to now buy the spot. You have to
yeah,
have your own production going on, which is what I prefer, by the way, because
yeah.
you have to say in terms of your production, right?
You have to market it. You have to sell the show. You have to do
Yeah,
everything.
yeah. A couple of times I've been approached for news anchor, which I was very excited by because I know that that would have been an amazing opportunity too. But those both in both scenarios, it didn't come to pass, and I said, like everything else, now is not your time.
Right.
And to be honest, Arian, I don't have a plan for like next year or the year after. All I know is I'm in media. This is what you decided at age 40, you're now 43. Therefore, yeah, no turning back now.
Right, right, right.
And the good thing about media is that you don't have to retire from media. So this for me is doing something that you like or love, something that you're passionate about. And I actually see myself heading into like motivational speaking or becoming a life coach or something
Yeah.
like that. Would you believe somebody
Yeah.
who needed a life coach?
Right.
I could see myself doing it. And I think it's because I've walked the path, you
Exactly.
know?
Who
Yeah,
better to school someone on the journey?
yeah.
You can't be teaching something that you yourself
You don't know
haven't.
about. Yeah,
Exactly. You
yeah.
know.
Because I don't know, a lot of my encounters within recent time is like that's where it's pointing to. So I said, I'm not going to fight it because getting into marketing in the first place, I was fighting it. I was like, no, I like accounting.
Right.
And I fought it. And this is why I stayed in a job for 20 plus years doing the same thing, even though it was three different organizations. Um, I stayed doing it because I kept believing to myself, this is what I'm supposed to do. So it took a bad or a negative situation. And I saw something the other day saying, what you see as an ending is actually a beginning,
Indeed.
you
Indeed.
know? So I
Yeah.
had to recalibrate my whole mindset when I lost my job because when I tell you, all the air out of my body left me that day. I would
Wow.
never forget that day. I was driving down the foreshore when I left the office. I couldn't even see where I was driving because I was crying so much. And then police pulled me over to search my car. I was like, what is happening with today? So when the police officer pulled me over, she was like, why are you crying?
Oh
I said,
gosh.
I just lost my job. And this was literally 2 weeks before Christmas, you know? So
Wow.
I'm like, God, what are you trying to tell me? What are you really trying to tell me? This is bad. This is bad. Nobody loses their job.
Yeah, yeah.
But as I said,
And especially the time in which you lost it as well,
I
coming
think
down to the day.
yeah, and I think with me losing that job,
Mm-hmm.
it was a wake up call for me because you lost the job because you did shit. I will be very honest about that.
Right,
I did something wrong and so I lost my job as a result. So that was the
right,
repercussion,
right.
right? But the lesson is the bigger thing there, where you
Mm-hmm.
don't take things for granted. And I really wanted to leave that job. Eh?
Wow, okay.
Kept saying I will leave, but it was so comfortable. Everybody loved you in the job. It was a nice organization. Everybody loved you. You were the star employee, this and that and the other, getting
Mm,
everything you want.
mm,
But then I was becoming complacent. I was not pursuing my dreams. And
mm.
so God probably said, oh, you say you're going to leave so time. Well, I will tell you whose plan is more important here.
Right, right.
That it took me
No,
a while to recover from that mental thing because I was really distraught. Really,
mhm.
really distraught. It's like, oh, that's gonna happen to me. And then one of my friends like, why not you? You're not the first person who lose a job.
Wow,
That's the
indeed,
kind
it's
of
true.
brutal friends I have, and I
No,
love
but
them
it's
for
true
that.
though.
Love
And
them.
you need that, you need that.
Yes.
Like my wife told me, she said, it's the same love in my instance where
Hmm.
some things I procrastinate with, a lot of
Hmm.
things, because I just call myself a vibes man, right?
Right.
And I just had to
Yes.
feel it. A lot
Yes.
of times I had to feel it in order to do it, right?
Yep. Yep.
So she would say, I would say, I had to do this, I had to do this, I had to do this. And then I would not act on it.
Hmm.
And then some situation will come and force me now. It will
Yeah.
shake you up now, and then you have
Yeah.
no choice but to deal with it.
Hmm.
So yeah, you're right. Sometimes you figure it's your timing and your movements,
And
but
I mean, I'm not trying to preach to your listeners, but
no, it's fine. You preach
at the
that.
end
You
of the
preach.
day, it is the fact. It is the fact. And even now, I still have multiple challenges, but it's always what you choose in the moment, how you choose to react to something in the moment.
Yeah.
And somehow you get messages in some weird kinds of ways, but the only way you would recognize the messages when you keep yourself open to listen. You have to
Yeah.
listen to that inner voice,
Yeah.
so
That's real cool.
it's a journey.
No, but I mean that's life. And how in this whole process have you seen yourself grow in
Oh,
dealing
yes.
with challenges? Because I remember when I was younger and something hit you, you're like, oh God, boy, the
Yeah,
world
yeah,
going
yeah.
in now.
Look, all the sky fall down on your shoulder.
You understand?
Yes.
But for me now, I kind of leveling off. I don't know how you
Yeah.
find it now, coping.
It is. And I was telling my sisters this morning that I've gotten to a place now where things can happen. Yes, you will feel a little upset because I have days where I will have my little meltdowns. I will
Right,
feel like if I don't know what to do,
right.
but you just be in the moment. Just like happiness, there is sadness. So you have to be in the moment and appreciate it for what it is, but you don't wallow in it. You don't say things, negative things to yourself like, oh gosh, I am a good for nothing. How I could do that? And
Right.
this one would think of me like this and my reputation. And no, you accept it for what it is. People will talk regardless. So
Indeed.
you just know who you are and who you serve, and that's all that matters. And know
That's
who your tribe is. But in terms of the growth, I definitely have seen my growth. I definitely have seen it because, there will be people external to you to tell you, hey, I see you doing this differently and whatever, but you wouldn't
right,
see it in yourself. I have
right.
seen it.
You
And
have.
I said the challenges that I have been given were there for that purpose, which means I'm being prepared for something great. I don't know when it come in, but
None of us do that. And we just
exactly.
try to.
I
Right.
literally just have to live in the moment. But Arian, I will tell you, where I feel all of this strength has come from and this mindset has come from is my mother. God rest her
Ah,
soul.
right,
This woman, in her illness, she's always been that person to help everybody else. So
right,
apart from being the only one who looks exactly like her out of my
right,
siblings, I look exactly like her. And
right.
one of her friends, I spoke to her the other day on a video call, and she's just there staring at me. She's like, I am looking at her all over again when I get a little cheeks
Wow.
and thing now.
Right, right, right.
And not only that, she's talking about the personality too, because mommy was that person. Now, all of my siblings are like that. We're always there to extend an olive branch to someone because we know what it's like to grow up and to not have. So we're always trying to
Right,
help other people.
right.
And in her illness, when she was coming down to her last few months, days,
Mm-hmm.
that is the that is the time of her life that I had the most. If I didn't respect my mother before, that was the time I respected her the most. And I really did have a lot of respect for my mother. But she was a
Right.
calm person, very bubbly and loving lady. Everybody would say it.
Mm-hmm.
But that strength that you saw emanating from her, I saw it in her illness, where
Wow.
her body is frail. She cannot move because we had to get her a wheelchair. We had to move her physically. And
Right.
this is somebody who was taking care of everybody else. She had so many families.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, I remember I was telling a friend the other morning, I came outside because she was by me for that weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Came outside and I'm hearing the music in the living room. Normally I'll put on the gospel station in the morning for her. And
Right.
I'm in the kitchen preparing breakfast. And I'm hearing this thing, but her voice was so frail in those few days. But I just hear her bawl out, I surrender. And she's like, what?
Wow.
She said, this is just the body that going. But I am ready. Even the priest who
Wow.
came to pray with her just before, literally an hour before she died,
Mm.
he said, this is the most beautiful death I've experienced. I thought, Father, forget his prayer that he was saying because he stood up silently with and this smile on his face and he was just silent. So I'm like,
Right.
what is wrong with this man? I opened my eyes when I watched him to the corner like this. And he told us afterwards that he felt the Holy Spirit in the room there when she was actually ushered out. He said that was
Wow.
the perfect death. And she was
Wow.
ready. She was. And to me, that's what taught me strength. That anything could come your way because you ain't dead.
Mm-hmm.
You're not dead. So what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? So I recognize my growth in that regard. And I got it. I think mommy's journey is what really started to propel it there.
Celine, that's beautiful. That was really beautiful, Celine. Wow. So
Uh,
I know you mentioned your tribe, and that seems to feature a lot in your life. You
mhm.
know, your sisters,
Yes,
your sisters who would have been the group two and three,
yes,
uh,
yes.
and well, your other support bases.
Oh, yeah.
But um, in anybody's journey, how much do you factor in that support base being a key ingredient in somebody's success? So I guess you could speak for yourself, then.
I would say that a lot of it has to do with the support system that you have. Because remember, when you're having a conversation with yourself, you are in, say you're doing, you're taking this journey on by yourself
Right.
with no support. All you have is your opinion.
Indeed.
All you have is your perspective. And really and truly, you're not a schizo to say you will change your perspective every single day.
Right.
To say one day, yes, I'm going to do this. You need to get feedback. And this is where I say the tribe is important because whether you're doing good or you're doing bad, or they say, yeah, I think you need to improve on this. I think you're just laxing. What are you going on?
I feel
That's
that.
important. And not only to just have a support group who's just going to be, oh gosh, you're going through a difficult situation. I understand, and just give your words. No. You need people who are brutally honest with you in those difficult times.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
that's important. And
Hmm.
honestly, brutal honesty is a kind of very difficult pill to swallow
It is.
many times.
It's a different kind of love, boy. That is
Yeah,
a different kind of
yes,
love. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
indeed it is. And somebody, you need that, you need that, you need some people to
Hmm.
keep it real with you.
Hmm.
'Cause, yeah, you need that
And
feedback.
even if you are being that person now who's giving that brutal advice and you realize that the person is not receiving of it, you have to know how to scale back a little bit because not everybody has, and I'm not saying that they're not strong, but everybody handles situations in different ways. So you can't say you're going to be brutally honest with your friend and say, hey, I think you're doing real stupidness here, when you know
Yeah.
it's a fragile person by nature. You can't do that. So my friends apparently think that I have this thick skin, but they don't know now.
But Celine, I want to find out what would have been the biggest teacher or lesson learner for you in your that you could bring to mind right? What situation or person apart, well, you indicated how your mom had such a great impact on you,
Hmm.
but what scenario or life event
Hmm.
would have brought the biggest lessons for you
Hmm.
in to bring perspective and
Perspective.
direction to you?
I have several, and because I say I have several, it's because they're right here. They're right here. And I keep going back to them to remind myself.
Right,
The very first one, well, I mean, there were some from before, but this one in particular was a time before mommy she was sick, yes, but it wasn't like that sick. Actually, it was the
right,
first bout she had with cancer. So she was actually in the remission stage.
right,
And I was at her home. No, I was between apartments, so I had moved back home for a couple of months. But you
right.
know, when you outgrow a space, and I had the biggest fallout with my mother because of one word she told me, and I didn't like it. And I quarreled with this woman to the point where I was with my ends of my hair was dripping with sweat, to tell you how I get on
Wow.
like a bodice with my mother. Would you
Wow.
believe?
Yeah, but
And
that really had to
it
resonate
was
on a
bad.
very
It was bad. But I think she got me in a time where I found that she wasn't understanding what I was going through at that point in time. And yet you came to compound it by saying what you said. So by the time I got to, and it was a work there, so we're leaving home to go to work. And by the time I got to my office, I had no voice. To tell you how I
wow.
screamed at this woman.
Yeah,
I
you
had no
really lose it.
voice. I was trembling. And probably an hour later, I got an email from her. My mother emailed me to tell me very nicely with her sweet self, well, I don't appreciate the way that you spoke to me, because she was a very, very elegant and
Right.
lady. I don't appreciate the way you spoke to me, and therefore you have by so date to move out.
Damn right.
If she writes again, I wrote
Oh
her back,
man,
and
yeah.
all I could have said was thank you, because
Oh,
mommy is that mother who felt that she needed to compensate us for the life that we grew up in. My father was an alcoholic, so she found that because she didn't leave, she put us through so much, but her
oh, so
reason
she
is her
probably felt
reason.
some guilt then.
Yes. And so for us, she felt as though she had to really pave or always be holding our hand. But in holding our hand, to me, it was doing more harm than good, because we felt as though, well, I could only speak for myself. I felt as though, okay, I will see about this tomorrow. I will see about that tomorrow. And
Yeah.
that is where my procrastination
Probably
burst.
could have stemmed from, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when she told me that, mind you, she came with me to go shopping for my stuff. She came with me to look for the apartment and everything. But I had to tell her thank you, because that showed me that you have balls.
Well, but that's true.
She had the balls,
That's
because
true.
mommy would have never said something like that to us before. Her children, I would tell my child to move out. And
Yeah.
so I told her, I said, that was one of the few times that I had the most respect for you. I shouldn't say few, because as I said, I always respected my mom, because she
Right.
was my confidant as well. But
Right.
that action that she took. So to me, that was one of the most memorable moments where I would say, yes, I felt as though I was prompted or put in a position to make a decision.
Lovely.
And I
I got
didn't
you.
even know that it was so, yes, it's challenging, but it's easy to come out and rent your own place and
Right.
still be comfortable, because all the time I was saying, I want to move out. I don't want to be here anymore. But yet, I keep saying, I don't have the money, I don't have the money. But when you're in a position where you have to find it, you don't have any other choice.
Yeah, the money that's coming,
It, I still
you'll
look, I
find
live
something.
in, I live not on the
Exactly.
street, right?
Exactly.
So that was one of them. And of course, her situation with her illness, the situation when I lost my job, you know, I still talk to my ex-boss today, but he had to
Right.
do what he had to do.
Fair enough.
Um, uh, and another situation will be with my children's father. because
Right.
that interaction is very non-existent,
Okay. Fair.
sadly, but it taught me to have patience. It taught me to still care for people, even though you feel as though they've done you wrong. Because I would
Right.
never hate that man. He's the father of my two gems. I mean, like, seriously,
Right. 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 Right.
you know? So
And he
I would
and
say
he
those are
and
the
he
major lessons. Yeah.
yeah. And he as well is now they are with him at this
He's their
point.
primary caretaker now.
Right. Caretaker
So
at this
it's
point.
really, and I love the fact that they're building a relationship with him, because when they were living with me,
Yeah.
it was he will come to visit as opposed to
Right.
having an actual parenting relationship. So it's beautiful to
Right.
witness that, even though I'm not in that equation, but
That's right.
children have two parents. And it is taking me a while to get accustomed to that part of it too, because I mean, I'm accustomed to
Right.
them being with me all the time. But he doesn't say, like,
Oh.
you can't come and pick up the children or anything like that.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
we
Right.
have
Right.
our relationship still,
Yeah,
the
man.
children and me.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Selena's a lovely girl. All right, so I'll come down to my last two questions, right?
Uh-huh.
This one is what if you had the opportunity to go
Hmm.
back to 17-year-old Salene Griffith
Hmm.
and share some words of wisdom now. So you have a little time machine and you can
Hmm.
jump in and press two buttons and go back. What would some of the things be that you would tell her, if anything at all?
Yeah, I would definitely tell her that your life is yours. So your decisions are yours. You have to take risks, but they have to be calculated risks.
Mm,
You have to take risks because people are not always going to be there to be your crutch. And 17-year-old Celine at that time was relying on the fact that I was still living at home. Mommy will always be that person who I could fall back on. Always behave as though you don't have someone to fall back on, even though you do,
right.
but try to be a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? Forthright, a little more, focused in life. That's what I
Right.
would tell 17-year-old saying. Be more focused and intentional. That's the word I'm looking for. Be more intentional about what you want out of life. It may not be anything specifically, but if you know how you want to feel at a particular point in your life, then you
Right.
will start putting things in place, planning things to achieve what you want to experience.
Oh, lovely. That's
Mhm.
really nice, Silly. Papa. All right, and my last question is the playbook. I call it the playbook, right? The playbook
Mhm.
basically would be your steps from one to how many ever um, to achieve whatever you define as success. What would your playbook be? Like a step one, step two, step three, you know?
Uh, Step one for me would definitely be going after what makes you happy. I cannot do anything that I'm not happy doing because I would be irritable, I'll be frustrated. And so, and I guess I could say this now because of what I'm experiencing, that I like, because I will be very honest with you, there are days when I don't feel like going to radio because
Right.
I am not in the mood. But I'm like, you promised these people you're going to be here tomorrow. So you got to
Mm.
get up and go.
Right.
And it helps me to get into the mood. Probably the drive between leaving home and getting to studio is when I put myself into the frame of mind. So I'll say,
Right.
yeah, from the time I say good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, it's all over. I'm in the mood already, you know.
Right, right, right. I got
So
you.
always try to, for me, the first thing would be going after what you really like to do, not what you're good at necessarily.
Right,
Because some people can be good at something, but they don't like it. And I
right.
realized that with me and accounting, I'm good at it, but I don't like it. It's not my personality, right? So that the other thing would be in terms of um, my steps to success is be in the moment. You always be in the present moment. So as I was saying in my first step, that some days I get up and I don't feel to go. I ask myself, what you have to be honest with yourself. So what is causing you to feel like this morning, and you deal with that. And if you
Right.
can't deal with it at that point in time, you put it off for another later on in the day or a few days later. But overall, when you look at the wider picture, so always have the big picture approach, more or less,
I feel
in
it.
terms of step two. And step three, for me, whilst we all need money, I can't chase people because not all the time what you're passionate about doing is going to bring you the money or bring you the fulfillment that you seek every day. A lot of people they get any money, they make any paper, they say they chase any
Right.
paper, and
Right.
yet they're not happy. My goal is to be happy. And the happiness that I seek is today, this moment. I'm talking to Arion right now, and I'm
Right.
happy
Right. I feel it.
because it's these are the things that help you move from one moment to the next. And when you look back, is when you realize, wait, I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
good. I'm good to go. With the challenges as well. With the challenges as well.
Beautiful.
And yes, and of course, another step would be to embrace the challenges as they come.
Mm.
They are a part of life. If you didn't have them, you will not know the kind of strength that you have if you
Indeed.
didn't have challenges,
Indeed.
So basically,
Oh,
that's it.
oh, this was beautiful, Salene Griffith. The Salene solution. No, but Celine, I really want to say thanks so much for sharing and being so candid with,
No
your
problem.
experience and everything that, you've been through
Yes.
and being able to share with us, some of your journey and all that.
Hmm.
Um, how can we find you as in your naked and all of that now? If
Right.
people want to get, yeah.
The Naked Podcast, you can find me. It's through anchor.com. What am I saying? Not anchor.com. It's anchor.fm. But I usually post it on the Salene Solution page, the Salene Solution on
Right.
Facebook. You can get the link there whenever the episode is published. And on Instagram, I'm the Salene Solution, Salene G.
Beautiful.
So you can feel free. I always encourage listeners to share your comments, give me feedback about the podcast itself, give me feedback about the topic. If you have anything to share, I've been getting some really good reviews. Some people said, you have balls to talk about your business, but it's not about talking about your business. It's about sharing because somehow that is what encourages other people to open up when you are open,
Indeed. Indeed.
So that's how you can find me.
And
For
on
now.
104 Heartbeat
Oh
104 FM.
shoot!
Yeah.
Heartbeat
From
Radio 104.1 FM inside the Heartbeat Sunrise.
with Celine Griffith.
The Heartbeat
Babe.
Sunrise with Salene, Mondays to Fridays from 6 to 10 a.m. I'm there every morning, God's Fair Life. And yeah, it's fun. It's fun. You all can get up and dance with me too. Because I'm always
Yeah, man,
dancing and
because you're always
singing,
dancing on the people radio.
singing and acrossing.
But Celine, this was lovely, babe.
Gosh,
Thanks so much.
I
I really
agree. I
appreciate it.
enjoyed the time. Thank you so much for inviting me on First Step. And best wishes to
You're
you
very
as well,
welcome.
because I've enjoyed every episode so far with the guests that you've had.
Oh, thank you.
Enjoyed everyone.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. So this
Yeah.
is our next name I could take off and because I have a whole list of people that just,
Wow.
oh, I take Celine.
That's
Yeah. All right,
fantastic.
beautiful.
Thank you so much, Arian.
All right, babe.
Enjoy the
You're
day.
welcome. Have a great day, babe.
Okay, bye
Take care.
bye. Uh huh.
Bye.